Hey everybody, Ed Lackwood here from Animal Adventures, along with Alex and along with Asia, which is our Asian water dragon. Pretty cool, right? So I just want to thank again the fine people at UMass Boston for helping support us. These programs really go a long way, much further than you think. We're able to make very good use of the funds. We have a lot of things that need to happen here. A lot of projects that need to be done, and this is how we're going to fund it. So thank you so much. I'm hoping some of the students are checking it out and telling you we're more accurate than Animal Planet, 10 times better than National Geographic or Discovery, right? Come on, we're up to date on our stuff. So check it out. Email questions. Prefer email. There's a lot of other ways people contact us on social media. Honestly, I don't even know how to get to them all. So if you try to get hold of us through Messenger or something else, and we haven't responded, please just go to the email info@animaladventures.net and we'll answer all your questions. But this here is a beautiful Chinese water dragon. They're very popular in the pet trade. They are born in captivity, and there are unfortunately still a lot of animals being harvested out of the wild. And I'll give you my opinion on that. I'm kind of a little bit all over the place with that, but once we have established positive breeding colonies in captivity, it's a lot less necessary to have to take them from the wild. What happens, I mean, I'm not against animals coming out of the wild, just because there's a lot of different reasons, and that we do that for studies and to try to understand them better, so we can help for things like protection of their habitat. You really need to understand the animal. But these are beautiful. They can grow up to about a maximum of 3 feet, just weigh a couple of pounds. You can read all kinds of crazy stuff on the internet. Someone said they had an 18-pound water dragon. No, not possible. So, but they're beautiful. They do like a large space. They can probably hold their breath. Now, when you go online, you're going to read different things that I'm telling you. Okay, just going on an experience. I've literally been taking care of these kind of lizards my whole life. Chris, you might want to hit the mute or do not disturb or something like that, because my kids are piping in on this. Children, stay off this. Online they say they can hold their breath for 90 minutes. I don't think so. More like 10 or 15 minutes is more of an accurate study. They have a long tail. The tail, like most of the animals, the iguanids in their family, they are, about 2/3 of their body is tail, and this helps them swim. You can see it's flat here, so they are, really good swimmers. You can find them pretty deep as well, and they can submerge. I just think 90 minutes is a vast exaggeration. They have holes right here for their ears, and they're protected. And see a little nose here. And most water dragons, even the ones you find in the wild, I don't know why, they all have this like nose rub. So it's not just something that happens in captivity. This one was given to us, pretty much looking the way he is. Last night, I fed him a ton of giant hornworms. I'm trying to fatten him up because he's a little thin, but he must have ate like 6 or 8 really big, juicy hornworms. And that's after the staff fed him during the day. These guys are mostly found in Southeast Asia. We're doing Asia and Europe and stuff today. So that's mostly we find these in the forest, and they can be found in lakes and streams. They won't do well in a fast-moving river. That you could find them. There are reports of them being in rivers, but more off near the embankment in the slower parts of that river, not where the rapids are heavy. And a lot of people love them as pets. They can be difficult as pets. Simply because the wild-caught ones can get sick. The people that had this one did a great job with them, obviously, because it's older. They can live about 10 to 15 years, some reports even 20 years. I don't know how old this one is, probably at least 10 years old. And the males get slightly bigger than the females. So beautiful Asian water dragon. Sorry, Asian water dragon. All right, I'll give this over to Alex, and we're going to see a rare lizard now, which you don't see. They're just starting to come in captivity. Again, that's what we want to keep an eye on when animals first become available. Yeah, there has to be a proper way to study their wild animals. This cool little guy doesn't have a name yet. It's just awesome. And he's going to grow bigger than this. This is a spiny, spiny-tailed water skink. And look, they've got the spiny tails. You can see that, okay? And they can grow about 9 inches. So he's got a little bit of growth to do. They got a little bit chubbier than this, a little thicker body, but just a beautiful animal. There are roughly between 5,000 and 6,000 different species of lizard, and skinks make up somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 of the lizard species are skinks. So you're looking at 1/5 at least of the population of lizards are in the skink family. It's the second largest family of lizard. The only family of lizard that has more members is the gecko family. So skinks are pretty awesome. This one is newer to captivity. It might have been around a long time ago and resurfaced. I hadn't seen this one. Somebody gave to me. All the water skinks you're going to see right now most likely are what we call field caught. So that just really means wild caught. Like I said, this one was given to me. I didn't go to Asia and catch them, and that's where you'll find these guys. So again, these guys kind of similar to the water dragon. They'll be found in slow-moving bodies of water. They're not really great swimmers like the water dragon. They have more, the tail is rounder. They are found in and around water. They like extreme high humidity. They can swim, some. They're not, nothing like the water dragon. And they have sharp claws, so they can swim, they can run on the ground, and they can also climb up trees. So a pretty versatile animal, pretty neat. And they are mostly will eat just insects, snails, and small things. We give ours dusted crickets. You dust them with calcium and vitamin powder. But just a real nice lizard base. This one we've had for maybe a month now, and he's really adjusting well. We ate the first day, and I really like them. They're very popular as pets in Asia because they have that crocodilian-like body. So a lot of the kids like it. You can see that, and you can see, he's not a real big lizard, but just super awesome. I have to think of a super cool name for him. If anybody is watching, you do watch, and you have an awesome name for this Asian water skink, I would like to hear it. All right, pretty cool, right? And you will probably, most people have never seen one of these. Okay, let's go to tortoises. We'll start off with the Russians. They're in the yellow, and then we'll go to the Bernese mountain. I'm sure they're dirty because they poop a lot. So, Russian tortoises. I want to show you. This is the male. This is about as big as the male gets. This one came with a very large beak. I actually clipped it. You can see right here how the beak is square. If you don't give them proper diet, then their beaks will overgrow, and then you have to clip it. And you want to do a little bit at a time just to make sure you don't split the beak. Much like a bird, if you split the beak, they can bleed out, so you have to be careful. So I clip that, then I file it. And we're giving him a good diet, hard biscuits and things like that. They're called tortoise biscuits, so hopefully that will help him. This is about as big as a male gets, and then here is the female. Let's see, the female, show you, is much larger. And this is actually a large male, and the females can get a little bit bigger than this. They go by many names, Russian tortoise, European tortoise, some people call them Horsfield's tortoise. And they're found, in Russia, they're found throughout, many different parts of Asia. And so, in Europe, they have a very broad range. These guys live in mostly dry, desert-like conditions. And depending on where they live, they could hibernate for up to 9 months out of the year. So if it's too hot, guess what? They'll hibernate. Too cold, they hibernate. And they're found in brutal conditions. They'll make burrows in the ground that are a few feet deep. Of course, in the colder areas they're found, they have to go underneath the frost line. But these are really nice pets because they don't get too big. They're very hardy. Like I just said, they live in very extreme conditions. So room temperature is usually pretty good for these guys. Now, of course, it's always good to have a basking area that 80, 85 degrees helps them digest their food, and then a cooler area. If you go too cold or too hot, they'll literally put themselves into like little mini hibernation state. So you want to be careful. We don't hibernate ours at all. We let them stay active all year round. Just keep their temperature right. They go outside in the nice weather, then come back in for the winter. But you can see the difference in size from the male to the female. The females have a short tail. Alex, could you turn that one around? And you see the males have a long tail. That's really the easier way to tell. A little short stubby tail and then a longer tail. And that's a big male. Most males are smaller than that. So there you go, Russian tortoises. And now we're going to do, we do have some big exciting animals. So I'm just kind of working my way. I have to see if maybe all the time's on. Yeah, we're gonna do Burmese mountain tortoise. And this guy is just awesome. I love tortoises. This guy is heavy. His mouth is a little messed up. He had an opposite problem where he came in with an overbite. So this here, I'm a little reluctant to file it. I just don't want to split it. It's gotten a lot better since we've taken him in. So his face is a little messed up here. I may have to do something with this here. The tortoise is very heavy, so he's doing really, really well. And she, I should say, the girl, is doing very well. Now, the Burmese mountain tortoises like this, they can grow. The fourth or fifth largest mainland tortoise. They can grow up to 2 feet and weigh as much as 50 pounds. But there are different subspecies, and some stay smaller. Sometimes they're referred to as a six-legged tortoise because these spurs in the front here come out so far. I don't know if you can hear that on camera, but they let out all the air so they put their head in. So sometimes they're referred to as a six-legged tortoise. No such thing as a six-legged tortoise. But if you read that, don't say, oh, I was reading about a six-legged tortoise. Do you have any? Sure, right here. Here you go. But these guys are awesome. They're found in higher elevations as well as lower elevations as well. Again, in Asia. And these guys get their name mountain tortoise because they do survive in higher elevations, and they are awesome climbers. So if you have an outside pen for them, you have to keep a good eye on them because they can climb pretty well. This is a nice heavy tortoises. One you don't see very often. They do breed them in captivity now, which is good. This one here, I don't know, being this old, I have no idea how old it is. There's no way to tell while they're alive. When they pass away, you can count the rings on their front leg bone. But this one's probably at least 30 years old, and they can live over 100, at least 30, probably older than 30. And I'll tell you how I'm judging that. If you look at the edge of the shell here, let me see if I can get that closer. The edge of the shell, it's still solid, it's thick, it's not transparent at all. When tortoises are still in maximum growth, you'll see the new growth is transparent, kind of like in your fingernail, and then it grows into that, and that shows that they're growing at a steady rate. Even though it's a reptile and they grow their whole life, as they get older, 30 plus years, and it can vary with different species, their growth rate slows down so much it's unnoticeable. So when you don't see any transparency in the edge of the shell, that shows that this tortoise is 30, you know, I'm thinking probably older. I don't have any, it's just kind of a gut feeling, 30 to 50 years old. Anyway, so what a beautiful tortoise. Oh, what do they eat? Thanks, Alex. So these guys are herbivores. So most of the tortoises, the Russian tortoises, most of the tortoises you see are herbivores. There are exceptions like redfoot tortoises, yellowfoot tortoises, and several other species that are more omnivores that will eat some meat. But these guys here are strict herbivores. Pretty cool, right? All right, let's see something else. Now, let's actually look at the beak after the show. Take another look at that. Why don't we do, I don't know, should we go for an hour? Let's go for an hour. Something big, clean up towards the pee. Take it right here. All right, we don't know, it's mystery hour. Okay, so Obi, you're not happy. Well, that's come on. Very tricky. And this is Obadiah, and he is a Eurasian eagle owl. He's looking at my African serval cat, and the cat is looking at him. You can see he's very, very curious. Full-size eagle owl, these guys don't have the same habitat, would swoop down and pick up a smaller serval cat. If the owl was on the ground, the cat would have a good chance. I know people are wondering who'd win in a fight. Two ferocious predators. Laz is looking interested, but not that interested. Now, if you notice the owl popping up a little bit, he can make himself gigantic, this giant round puffball. If he gets scared, he'll make himself huge. You can see a little bit that there to make himself look too big. I'm hoping Laz goes, it's beautiful out, Laz. You can go outside, buddy. If you want, your window's open. I can hear him hiss at the cat. Alex, could you stand in front of the cat? So Alex is a little less intimidating than the oh, he's hissing back and forth. Probably should have thought this through a little more. Anyway, owls are amazing animals. These guys have a very wide range throughout Europe, the Middle East, into southeast parts of Asia. And by most standards, this would be considered the largest owl in the world. People say, well, the gray owl is owl. But it's usually done by wingspan, and the wingspan for these guys can hit 6 feet, so that's a pretty large animal. But there are a few other owls that are very similar. If you're looking at them and you say, gee, I think I saw an owl like that before around here, that would be its cousin, the great horned owl, which is a little smaller than this. And he's very curious of that cat. You can see his eyes. Now his eyes are fixed in his head. There are these ridges that rings that go and hold the eyes, bony rings that actually hold the eyes in place so that they can't move their eyes without moving their head. And that's why most likely they have the 14 vertebrae in their neck instead of just a 7 like us, so they can turn their head not 360 degrees like the cartoons, but 270 degrees. So that's almost it's pretty cool. It's past 180. 3/4 of the way around. That's pretty impressive to watch, especially when they go 270 one direction, then 270 the other direction. They have about 30,000 feathers. I've never personally counted them, so I can rely on other people's research for that. You can see I can put my hand in here, and you can see how deep the feathers are. And the great horned owl and eagle owls, there are several others, of course, that have these horns. Many studies have been done on them. My take is a couple of things. They definitely help wind detection. So if an owl is going to take off, it doesn't want to go against the wind. He can position himself and turn. Instead of jumping into the wind, he can jump with the wind and then circle. So things like that. Maybe just because they look super cool too, right? I don't really know all the reasons, but I definitely think catching wind is one of them. You can see these large, powerful talons, and there are many YouTube videos out of these guys taking small goats off the mountain, and they can eat pretty big things. He definitely feels like he's gained some weight since last time I felt him, quite a bit actually. Feels like Petra, so heavy. Was that? So let's go here and let's open up his wing. So what I'm doing with my wrist, I'm just simulating a branch that's moving and grab it on the poop. Here you go. So in the wild, the wind comes and the branch moves and he wants to stay there just to keep the balance. See how he's using his wings to keep the balance, and maybe a little more of a storm coming. And so there you go. See those beautiful wings. Okay. So if you see a bird in New England that looks like this, this would be its cousin, the great horned owl. And the eyes, are fixed, and they have very large eyes that lets the light in. So at night, they do have great night vision. Owls, as far as seeing color, they probably don't see in color that well. As far as sense of smell, most owls have little to no sense of smell, and that's one reason why the great horned owl around here goes and eats skunks, because the skunk's spraying them and the owl is oblivious to it. So I guess that has its good and bad. I prefer to be able to smell, So I know when supper or dinner is ready, right? Smell some good things, but some days when you're working with animal poop, maybe it wouldn't be bad not to be able to smell. But yeah, just a beautiful bird. Thought everybody would enjoy. Very, very heavy. Which is good because he's always been a little bit on the lighter side. He recently, on the sadder side of things, him and his wife have separated. And so they were together for 4 years, and he wanted children and she did not. So now they live next to each other. So there are hopes of reconciliation, right? It seems like he's eating better since he moved out. Either that or he's eating more junk food, as often happens, right, during separation. So not giving him junk food, are we, Alex? What's he getting?
Mice.
Mice. How many mice a day will this guy eat, you think?
Usually about three or four.
I know at some point, when the seasons change, they go up to 10 mice a day.
Yeah.
You know, so we monitor their food. My goodness. Okay, let's put this guy in.
That's the retake.
All right, let's do Burmese python.
It's crazy because we did a show in here last week for Zoom, and the owl didn't even notice the cat.
Really? And we're back. Okay, this here, I'm just gonna move the cleaner and stuff on the floor. Is a Burmese python. I just call him Sir Hiss. I've heard other names, but we're gonna get name tags on every exhibit, so we all can agree. This one here is about 13 feet long, and it's really squeezing my wrist heavy right now. It's not smart to think, oh, I'm gonna break his wrist for using me on a show again, or a talk. He's just holding on for support. Burmese pythons, when they're young, they'll climb trees. When they get this size, you don't really find them in trees too much. You find them on the ground, and then under the ground, they'll go in burrows made by other animals. And you find these guys throughout Asia. Burma, which is now Myanmar, used to be where they're probably first originated. And I want to talk a little bit about them being in Florida because there's all kinds of money being made on people hunting Burmese pythons. They were probably first introduced during a big storm when Reptile House, blew over and all its inhabitants escaped. And then I know just people being people, they get a snake and they can't find an owner for it and they let it go or it escapes. And Florida, much of Florida is perfect habitat for a lot of these animals that you find, in the forest of Asia. Do I think it's a huge problem? Not too much, because the people I talk to, and I've worked, with some people in Florida, I'm very familiar with what's going on there and the people involved, is the biggest complaint is they're eating egrets, which is a beautiful bird, but also an introduced species. Other people that I talk to when I'm in Florida, because I have a lot of family there, says, they're taking dogs and cats, which, it's sad, but also not a native animal to the woods and forests of Florida. We live in a time where everybody can see with the COVID-19 that fear is a very powerful tool. And in my studies, they always told us things like fear equals money, fear equals control. And so with snakes, when they want, or alligators, or any animal, they want to fundraise a lot of money. And this is for students. That's why I'm telling you the dark side of this stuff. We're always told if we want to do a fundraiser, you got to feed on people's fear and emotion. So you get, in Florida, they say there's so many Burmese pythons, they're going to destroy the ecosystem and eat all the dogs and cats and children. And that brings a lot of revenue in. It creates jobs and other revenue that's taxable. Also, on the other end of the emotional part, when they want to pass a law to ban these guys as pets, which have done in many different places, they'll show Burmese python, loose somewhere or in a small tank, or one with a burn mark or one that's sick. They'll put those photos up. And in fundraising in our industry, fear and emotions are the two things. I would never use that, and that's why I don't have a ton of friends in the industry because I'm just honest with people. I'm never going to lie to people or exaggerate. So do I think they should be in Florida? Absolutely not. Do I think we should, be making a huge deal out of it? No, this whole thing could have been done with local people for little to no money. I know plenty of people in Florida that love to catch snakes and would just go out there to catch them for fun, and could be permitted and regulated that way. And I think it's probably been way blown out of proportion. And just what I would say, whenever you read or hear something, you have to go to many, many different sources. I'm lucky because I literally have people in this industry and outside the industry that I know all over the world, so I can literally call or email and get information. And so it's good for me. But if you're just reading, you have to really broaden your research. You can't have one or two news sources. You really need to, if this is something you're passionate about, you really want to be well scripted. You don't want to have just one fear article and then run with that. And anytime you do research on an animal, you're going to find an array of things, even with classification and taxonomy of the animals, because that's not agreed upon by many. That's why when you study skinks, some scientists say there's a maximum of 1,200 species, others say there's over 1,500, I've read over 2,000, it's all over the place. But these are nice snakes, they can get big. I've seen a couple of females top 20, I saw one at 26 feet long and over 400 pounds. A lot of people probably know about that snake. Her name was Baby. I don't know if she's still alive. She was in a pet store type display in Chicago, in a mall in Chicago. I don't know, I haven't talked to the owner in many, many years, but yeah, so they can get big. Typically, this male python, like Hermes like this, is gonna go from 12 to maybe 18 feet and weigh, 100, 150 pounds. Big snake, not venomous, I would not put them around your neck or body. They're extremely powerful. A snake like this puts out about 13 pounds of pressure per square inch in the top third of the body, which means that snake bites you and wraps around you and crushes you. It's pretty instant. So they have a couple rows of teeth. Their teeth are hooked back. They're not large, not fangs, so it's not venomous. So it'll bite and pull, and as it pulls, guess what happens? The teeth go deeper into you. So if this was a snake's mouth and it bit my hand and it pulled, it would go deeper in. And as they pull, they wrap instantly the top third of the body around you. Years ago, we had somebody not follow safety rules and get a snake about this size stuck on him. And if it wasn't for my wife, things could have went very, very bad. Luckily, my wife was around and was able to help save the person. That's why we have all these safety rules in place, so we don't have to save your life. But sometimes people don't listen. Okay, so let's put this back. Burmese python. Remember that Burmese python, easy to handle, but gets large. Now we're going to take out a snake that's not going to be out long. It's called a reticulated python. This one here is an albino. It's really beautiful. We actually have one of the biggest snakes probably in the country on display, but we don't have internet in our Land of the Giants building. I was asking my wife if we could get that today, and she said it would double our costs, so she told me to go away. So I think that's a no right now until business reopens fully. So the reticulated python, you got to be careful. They'll bite your face. They're just fast. They're found throughout Asia. They're awesome swimmers. They're tree climbers. And when you hear all the stories of people in Vietnam coming across snakes that are 30 feet long, these are the ones. These are technically the longest snake in the world that have been recorded over 33 feet long. Just pick pals here, Alex. You better than that. Well, give us a second then if he's not happy. And, another animal, all these new animals that we've taken that need names, I need help. I have 7 children and 5 grandchildren and hundreds of animals. Could be SpongeBob. We had a SpongeBob that passed away of old age. Let's do it. SpongeBob. Thanks, Alex. That's why we have Alex around. Because he still watches SpongeBob. Yes, that is true. I actually watched the SpongeBob movie 2 days ago, but I wasn't the grandchild. I digress. So these get very big. I don't recommend them as pets. And people know me, if you've seen me talk before, you know I'm not against people owning exotic animals. I'm for people owning exotic animals. I'm just trying to help you, guide you to not get something that's going to hurt you. We actually had a big reticulated python that we taken in, and we brought it to UMass Boston, and it went to the bathroom on a bunch of us.
How long ago was that?
Even some students a few years ago.
I think I remember that.
It was when they get scared, not only do they bite and not only can they crush you, but they also musk and throw like musk and poop if they want to everywhere. So they're fun. So let's see this one. Hungry too.
Probably. It's not feeding today, so.
Oh, she's so beautiful. We won't keep her out long. Camera should say. Not that pro probably, as you know. Okay, look at how beautiful this snake is. This is not the normal color. You're going to see very beautiful, translucent on the side, nice high yellow, just a very nice snake. See, it's flicking the tongue out. You can see in the front, Chris, you can get those heat sensors. You see those pits are heat sensors. That's why Alex used a roll of paper towels to touch the snake's head before he took it out, because if not, you just reach your hand in there, this thing will grab you and give you a good bite. Chris was just reminding me of a few years ago when I got bit by a big reticulated python, because I was on the phone, not paying attention, breaking my own rules. So beautiful snake, and I'm not going to squeeze its head unless it tries to bite me. I prefer not to. I prefer just to kind of go hand over hand and let it do what it wants to do. I do have it so if it was to strike, it wouldn't hit my face at all. Or hopefully Alex's face. And yeah, so that's it. Reticulated python is doing good. So I don't want to keep them out and press our luck. Okay. All right, I think we're going to head outside. Is that right, Chris? So we're going to head outside. Outside. Yep, ready? Hi, Josie. Why are you so angry? What's your new shirt today? Okay. Here we are. Weird little arrow goes on our animal today. Wow. These pools are empty? Yep. There's less water. Okay, so Vlad is a Siberian lynx, but he's not really a purebred Siberian lynx. My veterinarian and myself both believe he's a hybrid, a cross between a Siberian and a Canada or Canadian lynx. I don't know if Chris can get a view of his food. Eating early today. And so these guys have a pretty wide range throughout Europe, obviously, if they're called Siberian lynx, Siberia, where it gets extremely cold. So let's just talk a little bit about how this animal is made up. It has a shorter tail because it's not, climbing trees and things as much. It doesn't jump as far as some of the other cats, so it can jump, 10 feet from rock to rock. Doesn't have much of a vertical jump. And you see, he loves to be petted. This one came to us. He's one of the few sad stories where he was at a facility and the owners of the facility were filming a television show in Canada, and he was kind of left under care where the people did not take proper care. But when we got him, he was extremely underweight and vicious. And Alex and myself, Alex was living at our house at the time. And so we were the ones who would take care of him. He had a 10 by 10 kennel in our basement. A lot of people thought he should just be put down because he was crazy, would use pillows and all kinds of shields to get in there and clean him and get him into a kennel and clean his ears. He has doesn't have ear mites, but he gets dirty ears, so his ears have to be done a lot. You can see now he's much better. You don't spend too much time in there with him, 10 minutes at a time, because what happens where he didn't really play and get to be a kitten, he starts to play and it gets, he gets out of control pretty quick. And right now he's over 50 pounds, probably about 55 pounds, and you don't want a 55-pound cat that goes from play to kill mode. So we got to be very careful with that. Things we didn't talk about much today, we've been talking about a lot, is poaching and things. So in Asia, in the rainforest, they have a huge problem with illegal logging. Poaching of animals is huge, a huge market in Asia. And also hunting animals illegally, such as this, for fur is still done. There are very heavy restrictions on it, but that's why we have the word illegal, because people still do it. And there are some people that do it that, they're not poor and trying to feed their family by selling the lynx fur. They're doing it because they're greedy people that don't care at all about animals. Some of that's my opinion. These guys, there's no reason to hunt and kill these guys other than to wear their fur. And I'm sure that the people in Europe who buy the fur and the wonderful people in Hollywood here in America who buy it all could find an alternate way to try to make themselves look good. That's really, this day and age, man-made fur, you can't tell the difference. It'll keep you pretty much as warm, and it's just kind of a sad, ridiculous thing that people are still doing that. But it's just a fashion statement, You look that bad, fur is probably not helping you, right? So, yep. And so I'm very open-minded, but you won't change my mind on that one. Especially when we go meet my, probably my best friend, sad, huh? Where Joe's, it's a toss-up for Mojo. Let's go meet Aslan. He's my Carpathian lynx. Again, Alex and myself raised him up from a kitten. And he grew, and we did not. Oh, we're better. Come on, bud. Hey. Come. You see that? That's a hello. Yeah. You see his head go up, and I don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but him saying, "Hello, his head butt." Yeah. When you are having a stressed out day, I come over here. So pretty much every night, I hang out with this guy for a little while. He just loves on you, and I'm still being cautious. I'm not being, foolish. He's still a cat, so I got to be careful. He just really loves me and Alex and pretty much everyone. He's pretty chubby right now. He gained his winter weight as, let's not judge. I'm sure a lot of us did. I know, according to my scale this morning, I'm 8 pounds away from where I want to be. And he's probably about 15 pounds away from where we want him to be. His food gets up in the winter and then it's cut back. Now we've already cut his food way back. And these guys, if you look up information on them online, you'll see Eurasian lynx. They're called Carpathian lynx because they found this bloodline is limited to the Carpathian Mountains. Let's spend a minute and just talk about the Carpathian Mountains. So the Carpathian Mountains, 80% of that range is in Romania. And several years ago, the government has pretty much shut off all access to common people in the mountains of Romania. Now there are bear there and wolves and lynx and several other animal species, but the bear, the lynx, and the wolves are ones that people would pay to hunt. I met with some scientists that were over here from Romania within the last year, and I was asking them some questions because they were very familiar with things going on there. And they said often when the government shuts things like that off, they are doing hunts that they don't want the public to know, and the politician is actually taking a large sum of money to let people kill beautiful animals. Now, I can't prove that, but I did talk to people in Romania, and they said that's what has gone on in the past, and they believe that could be going on now. So I don't know. That's speculation, but I think it definitely warrants, I think there's probably truth to it. You can see how beautiful his coat is. So these guys are killed, illegally, and then probably the Romanian government taking money as well. And you see that beautiful coat, but I'm just gonna stay with it. Looks so much better on him than it would look on any person. Look at this thing. How could you look at this beautiful animal and decide that you need its fur? So that I'm not an animal rights activist. People know that. I don't. As we get judged here, I believe unfairly in a lot of ways, and I know it happens. But it's a pretty tough argument to try to debate the fact that killing an animal just for fur is necessary. The only exception that would be, I have talked to people in Canada that work on the railways, and they say that they have to use lynx fur on their nose, their ears, and their fingers, or that'll literally fall off from frostbite. And they can't afford military grade equipment to keep themselves warm. So you're talking a few animals, not hundreds. So again, if you're passionate about conservation and animals, a lot of the stuff is corrupt and hard to follow. One simple thing that we know is these animals are being killed for their fur, and that's something that I don't think anybody could justify. So that you love to get passionate for something. I have several things I'm passionate about. That's one of them. Then I have other things that are non-animal related that I'm very, very passionate about. But yeah, it's a beautiful animal, and hopefully things will get straightened out in Romania. That's one thing that's wonderful about the United States. I'm not loving the way we're at now, but in the United States, when I was born in 1965, alligators were endangered. Now there's so many millions that we can't count. Blackfoot ferrets were almost extinct, and now they're doing wonderful. The United States has an amazing reputation and policies that get put in place and enforced that can save our wildlife. And we do an amazing job at animal conservation in our country compared to other countries where, we have a lot of corrupt politicians in Massachusetts, absolutely, but animals are too transparent for them to get away with not protecting them the way they can in other countries. You can never get away with illegal hunts in most parts of the United States. You could not, the governor could not take dirty money to go and, get bobcats, kill bobcats. That he would be exposed. So other countries, they get away with a lot more, and makes conservation for animals and people a lot more difficult. So the model that we have in the United States is the best in the world. So I hope you enjoyed it, and he's enjoying this wonderful weather today. It's perfect temperature, not too hot, not too cold. And his name is Aswan. If you get a chance to visit, gotta come check him out in person. It's nothing like seeing this guy up close. I believe we have one more week left. Next week, we're doing Australia. Is that right, Chris? So next week, we'll be doing Australia. I'm telling you, you guys should check it out. We're gonna let kangaroos and wallabies hop all over the place. We have no idea how it's gonna go, but it's gonna be, it'll be fun. It'll be educational. I'm just keeping it. It's not good to have your back to a cat, so I'm just turning a little with him because he'll jump on my back and want to play. And when cats play, they have this thick fur and thick skin, so they'll get their claws into each other and roll around and wrestle, and they're no worse for the wear. They don't understand it. We don't have thick fur and skin like they do, so they jump on us and play like they're playing with another, cat, and we're bleeding and crying like little babies, right? So, yeah. So, hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I really hope some students get hold of this stuff, and I'd love to have some questions. So just go to info@animalventures.net and send some emails. Let's have some dialogue. Let's learn some things together. And see you next week in Australia.